Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Morning Call Show. I'm Bob Sellers here with Jerry Burke. We're a couple veteran journalists, and we're trying to find out what's right and wrong while we're looking at what's right and left. So, for most Americans, Jerry, I think we can see both sides get to be a little too extreme.
That's a very clever tagline, and Bob came up with that himself, I'll have you know. But I
Yes,
have
with
I
your
have
guidance.
I have a bunch of headlines today.
Okay.
There's not one major story, but there's a lot of little edibles, as I call them.
Okay.
First of all, we've been talking a lot about Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, and
Yes.
the candidate they call the holiday hating Hong. Remember
Yeah.
her? She wanted to get rid of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Well, she lost her
Yes.
primary to a moderate Democrat in the gubernatorial primary
Yes.
in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So,
Yeah.
what do you make of that? Is there hope?
I think the winner last night, and I wanted to show people something about polling. Here are the polls. It's a little hard to see on the right, but let me show you a little closer here. If you look at that, there it is from bottom to top. This
Wow,
is Hong's advantage in the polls, Jerry,
wow,
and it shows up to like 22% above her competition,
that's
and
amazing. So, what
she
happened to that
lost.
lead?
She lost. And so to me that the polling is bad. So the winner last night was the establishment Democrats, because the biggest problem Democrats have are people like Hong, who are saying she wanted to get rid of prisons, get rid of police. I don't know what kind of world we're going to live in without either of those. She is open to getting rid of Thanksgiving. I mean, this is something I think that freaked out Democrats, because just like Mamdani is a gift to the right in New York,
Right,
somebody like Hong in Wisconsin running for governor would have been a gift every single day.
true.
And she lost.
Yeah, but by a slim margin. And look at this headline right next door in Minnesota. A
Minnesota.
far left wing progressive emerges victorious in a hot Senate primary in a big warning sign for moderate Democrats. And that's right next door in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think, Minnesota is an interesting state. A lot of people consider it liberal because,
Tim
that's where
Walz.
Mondale was from, and and it typically votes liberal. Actually, once you get outside the main cities, it's very conservative, and the makeup of the legislature there is not way left at all. It's pretty
Yeah.
close to balanced. And a lot of people should watch that. We also had a friend of ours that I use that term loosely, who
Oh,
came out on the short end in the Republican race, Mike Lindell, who
our
you and
old
I
buddy,
both,
Mike Lindell.
yes, we
Should I
made
tell
some
the story?
headlines. Yeah,
Um,
we made some headlines because it looked like I walked out on him during an interview
no, it didn't
when,
look like it. You actually did walk out on
okay,
Mike Lindell.
okay,
And of
let me
course,
clarify
my
what
award-winning
happened.
director, the next key she punched was the shot of your empty chair. I'm sitting in the back going, oh my God. So I had
Okay.
nowhere to go, and I'm screaming, go to commercial, go to commercial. Yeah, that went up the food chain, and bosses were not happy.
No, they never were. And I think eventually it cost me my job. Not that I'm sorry to be away from that
Yeah,
employer.
same here.
Yeah. But what was interesting is I was at home. It was during COVID. It was on Groundhog Day 2021.
Oh,
So it
you
never
remember?
goes away.
Yeah,
And I would just wanted to get out of the interview. My executive producer got in my ear and said, bring him back. Don't let him go off like that. I don't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that EP's name, Jerry
Um,
something.
yeah,
And,
Jerry something.
and so I tried to get him back. And, it's hard to control Mike Lindell. And we just wanted to know about him being canceled. And instead he kept on. So I said, I don't want to be in this interview anymore. And so when I'm remote, sometimes I'll get the attention of a director by getting out of the chair, because then they want to know. I just didn't want to be in anymore. I didn't know she was going to punch it up while I walked off. So
No.
I didn't mean to walk. I definitely wanted to end the interview, or my
Yeah,
portion
yeah,
of it.
sure, sure. But
Uh,
and you know, there's chaos in the control room, and I'm yelling. The easiest thing to do would be to cut Mike Lindell's microphone. I do it
Yeah.
all the time. You want
Yeah.
someone to shut up? You have the power. So I'm
Yeah.
screaming, cut his mic, cut his mic. And next thing you know, all hell breaks loose. So, but you also have to remember the temperature in which this took place. I mean, we're not in the
That's true.
business of just walking off the set, you know?
Right.
This was at a time when we were getting a lot of pressure. Guests were going on and saying outlandish things. Like at the time, they sounded outlandish. Rudy Giuliani, who was the woman, the blonde older woman?
Yeah, I spaced on her for a second. Yeah, but I know who you mean.
Yeah, so we were being
Sidney
told to
Powell.
be careful,
Sidney
but
Powell.
we were still also being told book this person, book that person, and I'm like, you know what they're going to say? It's no mystery, you know.
Okay, and if we want to get into it, you and I talked about it earlier in the day, and I said I don't want to interview him. He's crazy.
Right. I went
And you
back
said you went.
3 times. I went back and I said, let's not do this guy. Let's not do this guy. Please, let's not do this guy. And
And
each
then I
time I was told basically, no choice, got to do him.
and then I said, well, let's pre-tape it. And they said, no, it's got to be live. And so they said it's got to be live, but be prepared with the statement that where the network stands on the election, which purportedly was that the election was settled, even as we were giving voice to all these people who were making
Right.
outrageous claims, which up to this day have not been proven.
Right.
Okay, so
It's got to
and then
be. It was the dumbest period of my television career.
I
Absolutely.
would be happy to present anything that proves that an election was stolen. We haven't seen it. There are no courts that have seen it. There are no audits that flushed it out. And then you still have the conspiracy theories. But by the way, Mike Lindell has not conceded, and he's saying there's some questionable voting patterns. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Groundhog.
Well, I have another headline. This one out of New York. Kathy Hochul,
Yeah,
much embattled. Right.
yeah,
There's an opponent, a GOPer, Bruce Blakeman. The headline: he
yeah.
could unseat Hochul and turn New York State red.
Well, look, there was Pataki. There was, I mean, the state has had conservative leaders. New York, Giuliani ran New York as a Republican. So did Bloomberg until he turned, what did he turn? He was a Democrat, then went Republican, then went independent, whatever. But people in New York are, once you get outside the city, they tend to be very conservative. So it's
Yeah.
possible that, plus, she's doing a lousy job.
Yeah. Well, another headline about New York: the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, in
Yeah,
New York City.
yeah.
It's not very DEI. In fact, it's overwhelmingly white, more than 60% white. How about
Interesting.
that?
Yeah.
Not no
Um,
minorities.
and that DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, are the bane of any Democrat who actually would like to get elected, except in some pockets. And the reason they're a bane is somewhere along the way, if you're running for office as a Democrat, you're going to get asked, do you believe we should get rid of prisons? Do you believe we should get rid of borders? Do you believe we should get rid of police? All this
Yeah.
crazy stuff that they put down. And by
Yeah,
the
but
way,
all the way up, get rid of the president, get rid of the Senate. Like
and get rid of
what?
the Senate. That's right. Get rid of the president. So we would have a legislature that picked both. This is just craziness. But that's what gets attention in these days, Jerry. That's why they matter in the races, not because they have good ideas. I saw one interviewed in which she said, we're going to have to tax the rich. So the follow-up question was a good one. So, okay, who are you going to
How?
tax and what's the
Right,
level
yeah.
going to be? And she said, well, we need to work that out. Well, give me a number. Give me
Right,
something.
right. They don't have a
Nothing.
plan.
They
They
got
just have
nothing.
slogans. They don't have a plan. They don't
We're going to get rid of borders. We're going to get rid of police. We're all just going to hug. And we're going to get rid of prisons because no one should be in prison. And then we're going to get rid of Thanksgiving. I mean, these people, that's what's going to win? No.
Right. Yeah, no. And The presidential hopeful Gavin Newsom has
Yeah.
started a new war with Joe Rogan, calling him an a-hole.
Okay.
What's that
What are
going to
your
do?
thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, come on. He doesn't have an. He seems to have a lot of time on his hands. If he's going to start a fight with a podcaster,
No, I think that's exactly what he wants to do. I think he's taking and I don't know what the meetings are like for Gavin Newsom. Um, but I'm guessing they have something to do with how did Trump get where he is? Well, we need
yeah,
to play that game. And so you take the most conservative podcaster who has influenced elections, a lot of people would say, at least amongst
yeah.
the MAGA following, and start picking on him to get attention. And then if you can win over 5, 10% of those people, maybe that's a good plan. I think that's what he's doing. I think it's complete strategy.
Well, in Hollywood, of course it is, right? In Hollywood, they have a saying: if you can fake sincerity, you've got it made. And that's what
That's right.
Gavin's trying to do. The one word to describe Trump that no one can ever take away from him: authentic. He's authentic. He's not the product of, a focus group.
I can think of other words to describe him. I hear him described as authentic. Authentic is not one I would go with. In fact, I don't think he's telling the truth all that often, and I don't consider that authentic. Just because you say all kinds of things that aren't true in a very facile way, that doesn't make you authentic. So, not in my book. Can I show
Um,
you something to
yeah,
actually? I
please.
want to defend Trump a little bit here, in
Wow. All
that
right, stop the press.
he's complained about, hey, inflation's not that bad. And people are like, no, it is. The CPI came out this morning and it was up modestly. Over the past year, it's up too much, 3.4% versus a 2% target, which is what the Fed has. So we're definitely experiencing inflation. But here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take a look at what has inflation been for people since 2020? Because that's what we're all experiencing. We don't care who was president. We just know that from the beginning of the pandemic until now, things changed. So here's an example of some things that changed right here, Jerry. And this is why people are upset. People are upset because CPI inflation has gone up almost 30%. Same with groceries, same with shelter, even more so. And then auto insurance has gone up just a ridiculous amount because remember, everybody was buying cars back then. And so Trump comes in and he thinks he's doing a good job. We all know that gas prices have gone up since the Iran war started. We know that tariffs went up, and most economists say that's had an inflationary impact on the individual. We'll leave that aside. But here's the frustration I think Trump has, because I took up three of those metrics, and this is the portion accountable to Trump since he came in a second time. Okay. So when you have inflation that's 29%, 5% of that is to Trump. And with groceries, 3.4%, with shelter, 5%. So he is is frustrated because it's like, hey, it's nothing like what it was. Yeah, but people are experiencing the 30%, and they were expecting it to come down. They didn't think you would come in and actually send up prices. They may not have thought that everything was going to go down, but at least it should have leveled off. And so far, that really hasn't happened.
Right, and Iran has come out of nowhere. No one
Yeah.
was expecting a war.
No, because he said literally, I'm not going to get us into any wars.
Yeah. Can I show you the picture of the day?
Please.
Can you see that?
Uh, barely. Yeah. Who's that?
That's Ennis Freedom.
Oh, yes. The
He's
woman.
working out shirtless, his first workout to get ready for the draft, the WNBA draft.
Oh, the tangled webs we weave. Yes.
Oh,
And
I hope he's going to wear a sports bra or something.
um, I think in the locker room, it's going to be quite interesting. How are they going to deal with that? But
I don't know.
what they are doing is calling the WNBA's bluff, right?
Yeah.
They're there are two or three guys who've said that they want to be drafted. And the WNBA is going to have a meeting in which they further define who can play in the league.
Yeah,
And it's a pretty simple answer if you just define what a woman is
they're not
and
gonna.
biology.
They're not
Now,
gonna.
you know what? Here's what they can do. Here's the out. I believe there's an international tournament coming up that the WNBA may participate in. And what that international body says is that no individual who has gone through puberty as a male can compete internationally in a women's league. There's your out, right?
Mm.
Because if you go through puberty as a male, then you're a male. You may change your gender preference, identity. That's all. We just know there's a difference when it comes to athletic prowess,
Hmm.
and consequently, that would be the solution. They could say, "Well, look, it's not us. We just have to recognize the international body's standards."
Yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna go that way. I think you're gonna see a man playing in the WNBA. I really
Well,
do.
there's some say there are already some there, but
Yeah. No, I,
not
I
true.
think we're going to see men playing in the WNBA. It's going to become just this big intramural cluster, you know?
Hmm. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's
Do you really see them coming together and deciding what a woman is? No. Um, do you want to hear?
unfortunately. I think that gives them an out, though, Jerry. I think that gives them a way to say, well, we're just trying to recognize the international level. I
Um,
don't know.
I got two more little stories. Okay.
Okay, go
These
ahead.
are these are a little around the bend. You remember John Hinckley Jr.?
Well, yeah,
Well, he's out. He's out walking the
I know
streets.
he's out, supposedly crazy out, right?
Well, he's giving interviews. And he has a new message for Jodie Foster. You're not going to believe this. This is what he's saying. Uh, he has begun living in Virginia full time in 2016. Quote, I wanted to have a union with Jodie Foster and live the rest of my life with her. And
Oh
all
my,
of these things that, of course, were delusional, he told the host recently. But I was believing those things at the time, so the best outcome then would have been a union with Jodie Foster in this life. He explained, I thought she would, after things settled down, join me wherever I was. I wasn't sure if I was going to be in jail or the hospital or what, but after things settled down, I had this notion that she was going to come join me wherever I was. That's
oh
him
my,
today,
and he's out.
living
Uh,
in
to,
Virginia.
that shows me he's still crazy. I mean, he was
And
crazy to
why is he?
begin with.
What? So then, why is he out?
Well, then we have to get into the whole system of how it's screwed up. I don't know the answer to that. I don't
Yeah.
know why he's out. I he
Can you
probably
imagine?
had good behavior, and then since you don't pay a price, see, Jerry, my idea of pleading insanity, it's
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, okay, so I may be misrepresenting this, but that's not going to stop me. And that is, you are found um, not guilty by reason of insanity. In other words, you didn't know any better. You didn't know what you were
Right.
doing.
Right.
I
Right.
would change that to guilty but insane. So I would still hold people accountable so they
Yeah.
couldn't go through this process. Oh, I didn't know what I was doing. Then he gets out, he's clearly as insane as he was.
Yeah. But if he, according to this, he had a plan. It actually, if it all had to come together, and if Jody wasn't so rude,
Right.
he'd be living in domestic bliss right now. She has
Yeah.
not commented, by the way. The poor thing. I mean, can you imagine your whole life
Oh
being
my
haunted by
God.
this?
That yes. And through no fault of her own and
Not at
through
all.
no missteps, she's always shown class in
Yep.
in dealing with it. And that's just astounding that he's still living in that world. It's
No,
kind
it
of
is.
scary.
It is. And he's free to come and go as he wants. So here's my last one. Okay,
Okay.
this one I had to laugh out loud when I read the headline. This is from the Associated Press, by the way. ICE plans to give officers gloves that can deliver painful electric shocks.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine? So that when they grab you, like thunderbolts go through your body. These are gloves.
Okay. Kind of like, I guess, kind of like, what is it that they shoot
A
you with?
taser.
A
It's like
taser.
tasers
So
on your
it's like a
taser on your.
taser on your hands. I got to tell you, Jerry, I think that Republicans have misplayed, Trump has misplayed the ICE role because they've extended beyond people who are in this country illegally, which most Americans support. Yeah, if they're here illegally, give them a chance to prove what they're doing, and get rid of them. It doesn't even have to be an Article 3 judge and jury and all that, but at least give them a hearing. Let's find out what the story is, and then if they are criminals, get them the heck out. Although I would say if they're criminals in this country, put them in jail. But they have misplayed this because of the people they've gone after, and I'm not even addressing some who have died by the hands of ICE, um, because I do think it's kind of like, this is a really bad analogy. It's like when they had Doge. Everybody supports finding waste, fraud, and abuse, but then when you do it, you don't do it right. So everybody supports getting rid of people who are here illegally, but they're not doing it right. At least I don't think amongst most Americans. And again, as we're trying to find right and wrong as we watch right and left, so I'm not sure I have the answer to it.
Well, I think there possibly is another way, but the way you seem to be suggesting is that you hang up a shingle, you open an office, and you sit and wait for illegals to come through the door and give themselves up. I mean, don't you have to go out and get them?
Um, yes, but they're getting the wrong people. That's the point. They're pulling. Look, my wife's Hispanic, and I hope she doesn't get pulled over. She was born in outside Houston, Texas, and I just I don't trust that these people are well considered. And by the way, there's another thing, as I understand it. This is completely different. But remember that bonus they were giving some of these people?
Yeah.
Uh, from what I understand, you have to be with them a certain amount of time, and if you get anything up front and you leave early, you got to pay it back. So I don't know. There are many missteps with ICE. And again,
Well,
I'm not, I want the border closed just like most Americans. I just want them to do the job right.
well, I think we're still doing better than Europe is. It's
Yeah,
insane over
Europe,
there.
Europe has a problem. They have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
And
Ireland, did you hear this? Ireland, the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, has said that if the government doesn't deal with migrants, they will. They're going to
interesting.
reconstitute. They're going to reconstitute themselves and go to war with the migrants.
Except this time, Northern Ireland will be with them.
Yeah, true,
And I
true.
do think that's a problem in Europe. And this is a weird little side story, but back in the mid 90s, I wanted to learn a little bit of French. I don't even know why. I was just intrigued by the language. So I got some issues of Le Monde, which is a French newspaper, and they were
Hmm.
talking about migrants coming over from Northern Africa into France. And
Yeah.
I became fascinated with the story. It was these people from Africa seeking a better life, but they weren't assimilating well, and they were putting great pressure on the people of France who were natives. And
Yeah.
here we are. How much later is this? 10, 20, 30 years
30
later,
years. Yeah.
it's not better.
Well, let me tell you something. I remember when I first got the Fox News, this was the late 90s. I remember Rupert Murdoch used to come down to the newsroom and he had a discussion with a couple of people about because he had just come back from Paris. And he
Yeah.
said, if you go to Paris, the outer ring is all these. They don't allow skyscrapers in the middle of Paris. It's all got to be like 6 stories. That's it. He said, but on the outskirts of town, you can see these high rises, and they're basically warehousing migrants in there. He said
Oh,
they're from Africa, they're from all over
wow.
the place. He said that's going to be a problem, and that was 30 years ago.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think it's the issue's been solved,
No,
and there are many different perspectives on it. We don't have an easy answer on it, but it's a problem.
yeah. Well, thank God it's not as big a problem here as it used to be. Do you remember the
No, but
caravans?
that's what
Oh my
scares
God.
people, though. That's what scares people is what's going on in Europe that's going to happen here.
Not under somebody else's watch, not under, if even if JD Vance gets in, it's not going to happen again. And they're
Well,
watching the
I,
Democrats implode.
yeah, I don't know if Democrats are imploding. Yesterday's primaries actually showed hope for the establishment Democrats,
Mm,
and um, I don't. I don't know. I sure hope that that wouldn't happen under anybody, Jerry. But when you look at some of these Democratic candidates, and I'll throw Kamala Harris in there, she has never seemed to have the backbone to stand up and say, we don't want illegal people here. It's like,
right
oh,
now.
Lord help us if I might lose a vote. I mean, Ronald Reagan had this great thing. I forget where I saw this today, but Ronald Reagan had a thing that if they would ask him, these right wing people are voting for you. Why do you want them to vote for you? And he said, I don't want their policies. They're voting me because they want my policies.
Yeah.
And so that was a really smart answer. Democrats aren't that smart, at least I haven't seen it so far,
No.
in which they would come out and say, we're not going to get rid of prisons. We're not going to open the border. We're not going to get rid of police. If you want to vote for us, that's great because we think we'll do a better job than the other guys.
Hmm.
But most Democrats, I haven't seen them yet,
Yeah.
are not saying that.
Well, Bob, I think that's all I have today.
Okay.
A lot of good stories. Um, so
A cornucopia.
I do a cornucopia, and remember, don't mess with the Kennedys.